Never before has a game changed the way I am the way Destiny has. It's an ever-evolving, consistently engaging game that I always seem to come back to. Destiny has shaped the way I'm able to interact with others, it's given me opportunities to make friends from all over, and it's done amazing things I will never forget. Yes, Destiny has had its ups and downs like any game series has, but the key difference is that I always found myself drawn back to it. Now we're about to embark on an adventure that many of you have also gone through. Like you, my story, while similar for the gameplay, will be different with my reactions and how each mission came to its completion. Now I know all of you will be disappointed to hear that we're not going over every detail and that this video isn't going to be 10 hours long. I won't try to drone on too much, so I won't be including stuff like PvP, Iron Banner, Trials, and the like. I'll briefly go over the plot of each game and the DLCs. So, without further delay, let's get started. I was a little late to the party because I didn't start playing around on Destiny until August of 2015. The first character I made was a hunter, exo female. Don't look too much into that, please. One thing I can tell you, though, is I loved how simple the hunter jump was, and how much fun it was being a blade dancer. It was one of my favorite classes, and still is. I always leaned more towards auto rifles and scout rifles when it came to guns, due to how crappy my aim is. By the time I started, they'd already patched up the glitches for the loot cave and the infamous land cable glitch with Crota. I can't say I'd remember any of them specifically, since I don't even remember how much of the Dark Below or House of Wolves. Something about a garden and destroying a rock Crota and then capturing some fallen guy, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The important thing is, what I do remember is the passion that began to emerge. Now, quick thing to note, this is not the first time I've found passion in a game. I've been playing games since the Atari way back when, yes. I am old, I know.
Let me tell you, whippersnappers, back in my day, we didn't have any awesome triumphs or whatnot that earned you cool t-shirts.
Sorry, moving on. First up, of course, is The Taken King. This DLC changed the game in such a big way. They brought in 3 new subclasses. Night Stalker for Hunters, Storm Trance for Warlocks, and Sunbreaker for Titans. Also, it has a story. Wait, what? What?
Forget everything you knew about the Destiny franchise because Oryx is shaking things up with The Taken King. Yes, this hive god's come to town and he's not happy. You killed his son, now he's gonna kill you.
Coming to a theater near you. It was a radical departure from what I came to know Destiny. What I knew Destiny was as being a lackluster campaign with just nothing going on and just going through the motions. Seeing Oryx commanding an entire army of the races that we fought, only he's taken their will. They can't act on their own anymore. And it shook things up quite a bit because we didn't know what these Taken were, what these creatures were. It was terrifying, to be honest. Joking aside, what I think this DLC should have been called was Cayde Steals the Show because, well, Cayde's character is being this kind of goofy, silly, but still very, gets the job done type of guy. And when Zavala's cold and calculating and Ikora is like, we need to get this done, and I read books, and I'm a warlock, while Cayde is like, I'm gonna go and not tell you guys, I'm gonna go grab a ship, slap some stealth tech on it, and I'm gonna go to the Dreadnought, but I'm not gonna ask you guys. I'm gonna do it on my own and use the Guardian too. And at the very end, then I'll ask Zavala and see if he's okay with it. To give you an idea about what Cayde is, what his personality is like, let me play you the following clip. Enjoy.
Confirmed.
Interest in tech, Cayde? Isn't this Eris Morn ship?
Is it? Huh. You know, you're a true artist. Can't even see the join.
Cute. But Zavala's got sign-off on all launches. Need a log while I'm letting it go.
Stargazing tour? Okay. How about an unsanctioned op using modified stealth tech to infiltrate a dreadnought above Saturn's rings so we can knock out its weapons, create a transmat zone, and send in the cavalry?
How about test flight? It'll be waiting for you when you're ready.
Me? Oh, I'm not flying that thing.
King's Fall is the raid for the Taken King. It is the first one I was introduced properly to, that I ran through all the way. It was really grand. It was huge. It was sprawling. The scale of being inside the dreadnought in his throne world was immense. It's just these huge chasms and sprawling. It's hard to describe. Just huge architectures, and it was a long raid. I'm going to be completely honest, it wasn't my favorite raid because it was just so long and tedious for me, with very little room for error, and there was like 3 or 4 bosses. But it was quite fun, honestly. I did enjoy it, just not as much as some of the other raids I played in Destiny. Now we skip ahead a year, and we go into one of my favorite expansions, Rise of Iron.
The Rising Iron Lords. I am Lord Saladin and Guardian. You...
I do not know how he does that. That is... oh my goodness, my throat really hurts. Okay, sorry. Rise of Iron is the final end to Destiny 1. One of my favorites. Forsaken might beat that, though I haven't seen it yet. Rise of Iron kicks off with Lord Saladin calling us into the Cosmodrome because the Fallen are looting it like they always do, but they're not looting it just to find stuff. They're searching for something, and they have found it. They've found what's called SIVA. It is a self-replicating nanovirus that can be used to create, destroy. You give it a directive, and it'll keep doing that until you tell it to stop. They found it and gave it one directive: consume, enhance, replicate. And so now the Fallen intend to storm the city with SIVA in hand to augment themselves and their technology. Lord Saladin calls us in. He is the last of the Iron Lords, a group of pre-Guardians, if you will, before us, before our time, that 100 of them went down to stop SIVA long ago, but Rasputin, who I'll get to later in the Warmind DLC, sent constructs and frames and all this other stuff after them, and only 9 made it to the replication chamber. And even then, SIVA took out 8 of them, leaving only Lord Saladin. He tasks us with finding the source of SIVA, destroying it, and bringing peace to the Iron Lords. But I still really enjoyed it. For one thing, the aesthetics of the Plague Lands was amazing. The icy wasteland contrasting with the red, veiny SIVA growths all throughout the Plague Lands was very pleasing and wonderful to look at. Bungie excels at their skyboxes and their art direction and music. The dialogue can be cheesy. Like, we're talking fermented goat cheese. Alright, like 2 years aged cheese. There's one point where I'll just play the clip.
We were touched by the light. I didn't even know someone with the Traveler's Gift could die. Until they did.
Destiny's a game in which you don't expect it to be kind of have any horror themes to it. It is about aliens and darkness and all that fun stuff. But it's mainly just action-packed. But there's a certain scene in the very last mission of Rise of Iron. You descend into the Siva replication chamber where the Iron Lords sacrificed themselves, sealed themselves inside of the replication chamber, and blew themselves up. And you get inside, you see 3 hanging figures.
What's happening?
No. It can't be.
And you're fighting reanimated Iron Lords, and they look horrifying. It is... I am not joking, it's downright creepy if you can see them up close. Anywho, it was a definite standout moment, and after you defeat them, the end set piece of destroying the replication chamber is amazing, because everything's blowing up around you, you're running out of there trying not to die, and then it closes on you, and you've stopped Siva once and for all. A week after Rise of Iron was released, the raid, Wrath of the Machine, was launched, and it is my favorite raid to date. Again, barring, I'm going to go back, I don't know, the latest raid coming up in Forsaken might topple that, but Wrath of the Machine wasn't long. It consisted of 1, 2, 3, 4 encounters? 3 of them... It was short and sweet. Basically, it had a lot of action, and that's what I loved. There wasn't a lot of puzzles, only a few jumping sections. It involved mainly gathering Siva cluster bombs and tossing them and blowing stuff up, which is great. The highlight of the raid is when you emerge up top the wall of the Cosmodrome, and behind you, all of a sudden, this gigantic machine, a siege engine, roars to life and starts moving towards you with this giant bashing hammer thing. It's a death Zamboni, okay? So that encounter is one of my favorites because that's one of my favorite encounters in the raid, because you get to repair the siege engine after it breaks down, and then you get to watch it just tumble off the side of the wall and sink into the ocean. And then you meet up with the lovely gentleman Axis, who is pretty much all machine at this point. And Axis is one of my favorite raid bosses. There's tons of action. You can't carry someone through it. You always have a job to do, whether it's throwing Siva charges, or destroying servitors, or slamming Axis's back. That sounded wrong. It makes sense in context, but there's something that everyone can do, and it's very satisfying. I love the raid, love the aesthetics, and it's one of my favorite DLCs. Bungie announced Destiny 2 like we all knew, but we were all really excited, myself included. They said the beta would be playable in June, I think, June or July. I was stupidly excited about it. Yeah, I wouldn't shut up about it. So, granted, the beta only allowed us to play the first mission, 1 strike, and 1 crucible map, but it was enough to satiate it because it was quite different. So, go through that, had to wait a couple months, and then it launches September, I don't remember which, September something. Early September, Destiny 2 launches. It was... ooh, buddy. It was rough. It was... how do I put it? How exactly do I put Destiny 2's launch? Destiny 2's launch was a mixed bag of... this is awesome, and why on earth did you change this? What have you done? I'll start with just a couple things that were changed. Yeah, everything has been reset. You start from scratch. Everything's gone. My stuff, your stuff, more importantly, my stuff. Things were changed. Shaders, for one thing, were changed to be consumables. You can't just apply them over and over and over again. Random rolls have been taken out, so you can't hunt for the perfect weapon, although that's being changed in Forsaken. The story has a story now, more than Taken King. What it starts out with is the city, the last city, and the tower, being attacked by the Red Legion, a elite force of the Cabal, those giant space turtles that like to hurl moons at planets and destroy them. They come in out of nowhere because we have crappy technology and we can't sense anybody. Come in with this giant clampy boy. Sorry. This giant device that clamps onto the Traveler, seen here, and it proceeds to cage the Traveler and drain us of our light. We are literally drained of light. And that's when Gaul comes in and gives us the reason you suck speech. Now I'm going to wreck you.
Do not look at me, creature. You are weak, undisciplined, cowering behind walls. You're not brave. You've merely forgotten the fear of death. Allow me to reacquaint you. Your kind never deserved the power you were given. I am Gaul, and your light is mine.
And your ghost. So he does. Crappy. He's campy, but I have a soft spot for Gaul. I loved him. But there are a few scenes like the one I'll play in just a moment here.
Fitting your traveler would send you to face me once more. Look upon me. Dominus of the Red Legion. Annihilator of suns. Raiser of 1,000 worlds. Slayer of gods and conqueror of the light. I am Gaul! And I have become legend.
And fun stuff like that. All of a sudden, Raid Day drops, and this gigantic mechanical fish-looking thing, anglerfish thing, appears in our director, and looks like it's going to eat the planet. We come to find out it's doing exactly that. So we head over there, and getting some Road to El Dorado vibes in there, because as you can see here, it's lavish, extravagant, opulent. It's all about opulence here. So apparently this guy, the exiled Emperor Callus, invites us on board to test our strength. I can't help but feel that it's just 6 guys barging into this extremely rich dude's house who just happens to have a really nice pool with some bathers, a very nice garden with some very unruly dogs, and a literal obstacle course. Then we find out the host of the party, go up, kill him, and then find out it's actually a robot? Maybe that's an in-game justification for us killing him so much? Regardless. Yes, we're a party guests. He invited us, but yes, he encourages us to grow fat from strength. Overall, it's an interesting raid. It's certainly a raid I've played quite a bit, and I like it, but not as much as Wrath of the Machine, like I've said, but it's one of my favorites. And now we're on to my least favorite DLC. I really didn't enjoy this one very much, to be brutally honest. The raid layer was great, but let's get into it. You know, I never really figured out why it was called Curse of Osiris. Oh, right, he cursed. Great, DLC done. Let's move on. This was my least favorite DLC. I went through it because I already bought the expansion pass for both DLCs when Destiny 2 dropped, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. It centered around Osiris, the infamous warlock who was exiled from the Vanguard for his ideals being too extreme at the time. But if you came up and asked me what it was about, I couldn't really tell you. I couldn't explain it very well to you. All I can really say, it's the Vex are doing stuff on Mercury, something something infinite forest, something something dark future, something something Panoptes infinite mind,
Something dark side, something complete.
Well, the DLC did bring in the raid layer, which takes place in the Leviathan this time, not on it. Eater of Worlds was short, but had a very nice boss at the end. As it's sucking Nessus up, it accidentally sucks up its planetary core, which is a giant Vex mind. And Cal's is like, hey guys, come back. You were pretty cool back then, and I need you to take care of this indigestion problem. So we do. And then the Leviathan can continue to consume planets. I don't really know why we went through and did that, but we did. The Infinite Forest was a big letdown. It was supposed to be a procedurally generated... It's very difficult to describe. You know, it really didn't bring much to the table. Nothing revolutionary, and not much more can be said about the DLC. So we're gonna move on. I'm not gonna talk about the Dawning. That was it was a Christmas event. It wasn't well received. Anyway, we're going to move on to Warmind, which is a better DLC that came out in May of 2018. It was better, in my opinion, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Warmind takes place back on Mars, and it tells us the story. First of all, I liked it much better. The story was more... The story I can actually summarize. You get a distress call coming from Mars, which is highly unusual because no one's there. We get a distress signal from a Anastasia Bray, and she's of the Bray family who actually created Rasputin. The Hive have awoken. They were frozen beneath the surface of Mars on the polar ice caps, and now with the Traveler's Light, when the Traveler awoke because of Gull's shenanigans and released that burst of light, it affected the entire galaxy. We fly down to Mars and find out the Hive are doing all sorts of chicanery and shenanigargles. They're trying to break into Rasputin's chamber and, I don't know, do something. But it mainly focuses on two major Hive characters, I guess I can say. One being the excommunicated son of Oryx, who's rarely talked about because he practices necromancy, which is exact opposite of what the Hive do. Alright, so it also involves the worm god Zol. It's too difficult to get into what worm gods are, but it's basically what 5 worm gods made the Hive what they are today, and they're extremely powerful. One example being the Dreadnought is actually part of... The Dreadnought is actually part of Akka, which is a massive worm god Oryx killed, and literally fashioned its corpse into his giant ship, if that's a point of reference. Anyway, we go to stop Nokris, we stop him, we go to stop him, and then we have to lure Zol out so we can destroy him. We use a shard of the Traveler, do all that fun stuff, lure him out, and then use Rasputin and his Valkyrie, a weapon of some sort. I don't exactly know what it is. It's a spear, but it's Rasputinized. I don't know. Space magic. And we use it to kill Zol, and then at the very end, Rasputin basically says,
"From this day forward, I will defend humanity on my own terms. I am Rasputin, guardian of all I survey. I have no equal.
What have we done?
It also introduced another raid layer, Spire Stars. Lots of ball handling and throwing, lots of greed, lots of engulfing, lots of pooping. This all makes sense in context, I promise, but I only beat the raid boss once because it is one of the most mechanically heavy encounters I've ever done in a video game, ever. It's crazy and stupid. I've only beaten once. Video games are hard. So, it also introduced things like exotic catalysts that buffed exotics and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, in a nutshell, that is Warmind. So now that we're caught up on everything Destiny and Destiny 2, I can finally get hyped, excited, stoked about the next DLC coming in a few days or today. It depends on when I release this video. Forsaken is like the Taken King on steroids. It looks so amazing from what we've heard, what we've seen, and the unfortunate death of Redacted is a huge blow, unforeseen, and it is shaking things up. It is introducing kind of a new enemy faction, the Scorn, also the 8 Barons, and that prick of a prince, Aldrin Sov. I always hated him back in Destiny 1, I really did. He was a dick. He's even more of a dick now. But everything looks promising. I played a little bit of Gambit that they offered. Gambit being the PvEVP mode that basically 2 teams of 4 go in and take out swarms of enemies, grab the little triangle. I am stupidly excited for Forsaken. You have no idea. You have no idea how excited I am that Tuesday is coming and I'll get to play Forsaken. And I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be exciting and you're not going to be able to pull me away from it. And everyone else is excited because it finally feels like the game that we were promised back in Destiny 2. So, but yes, I played Gambit for a couple of hours each day, and it's exciting. I won't get really too much into what it is. Basically, Gambit is quite fun. I look forward to playing it when Forsaken comes out. I look forward to going through the campaign. I look forward to running the raid, Last Wish, on my birthday. It's being released on my birthday. Bungie reached out to me and asked, when would you like the raid released? And I'm like, well, my birthday's coming up on the 14th, and I'll be 32. And 32 is a momentous occasion for any man in his life. It's not really. And if you could release it on my birthday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that would be great. And they're like, sure thing, we'll do that. None of that actually happened. But no, it's being released on my birthday. Super excited about it. It's supposed to be the longest raid Destiny's released, most bosses, and there's just so much mystery and so much coming to the table for Forsaken. I look forward to seeing you all come September 4th, and from that moment on, I don't know how to end this video. Please help me.